Throughout history, the fight for freedom has taken many forms, but few stories are as powerful, as harrowing, and as inspiring as the rebellions led by enslaved people against their oppressors. These are the stories of courage, resistance, and revolution that changed the course of history. Slavery has existed for thousands of years, but the transatlantic slave trade, which lasted from the 16th to the 19th century, was one of the most brutal and far-reaching systems of human oppression. Millions of African men, women, and children were forcibly taken from their homelands and brought to the Americas to work on plantations under inhumane conditions. But despite the cruelty, enslaved people never accepted their fate quietly. Resistance took many forms, subtle acts of defiance like breaking tools, working slowly, and running away. But at times, when the suffering became unbearable and hope burned bright, they rose up in open rebellion. One of the first recorded slave rebellions in the Americas took place in 1526, when enslaved Africans in a Spanish settlement in present-day South Carolina rebelled and fled into the wilderness, eventually leading to the colony's failure. This was just the beginning. The Stono Rebellion of 1739 was one of the largest slave uprisings in the British colonies. Led by an enslaved man named Jemmy, about 20 rebels raided a store near the Stono River in South Carolina, arming themselves with weapons. Their numbers grew as they marched southward, burning plantations and calling for others to join them in seeking freedom in Spanish Florida. Unfortunately, the rebellion was crushed, and most of the participants were killed or executed. In response, slave laws were tightened even further, but the spirit of resistance could not be extinguished. The Haitian Revolution was the most successful slave revolt in history. In 1791, enslaved Africans in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, launched a massive uprising. Led by brilliant leaders such as Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, they fought against French, Spanish, and British forces. After more than a decade of struggle, the revolutionaries achieved the impossible. Haiti became the first independent black republic in 1804, abolishing slavery and inspiring oppressed people around the world. As the 19th century progressed, more slave uprisings shook the Americas. In the United States, Gabriel Prosser planned a rebellion in 1800, Denmark Vesey in 1822, and most famously Nat Turner in 1831. Nat Turner, a deeply religious enslaved man, believed he was chosen by God to free his people. In August 1831, he and his followers launched a bloody revolt in Virginia, killing around 60 white people in their fight for freedom. The rebellion was eventually suppressed, and Turner was captured and executed. In retaliation, hundreds of enslaved people, many who had no connection to the revolt, were brutally killed. Slave laws became even more oppressive, but Turner's uprising sent a powerful message. The fight for freedom would not be stopped. One of the most dramatic acts of resistance occurred in 1839 aboard the Spanish ship La Amistad. Led by an enslaved African named Sink, captives seized control of the ship and attempted to sail back to Africa. However, they were captured by the U.S. Navy. Their case went to the U.S. Supreme Court, where former President John Quincy Adams successfully argued for their freedom. The captives won their case and returned to Africa, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, resistance could prevail. As slave rebellions continued to erupt, they fueled the abolitionist movement. The American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, and the eventual Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 marked the beginning of the end for slavery in the United States. By 1865, with the passage of the 13th Amendment, slavery was officially abolished. The courage of those who resisted slavery echoes through history. Their fight for freedom laid the foundation for future struggles against racial injustice. From the civil rights movement to today's fight for equality, the legacy of these brave men and women lives on. History remembers the victors, but it is the rebels who shape the world. The story of slave rebellions is not just one of tragedy, but of unbreakable spirit and the undeniable will to be free. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's untold stories.